All right, welcome. Today we're cracking open the official rulebook for one of the most powerful walkie-talkie services out there, the General Mobile Radio Service, or GMRS. So let's just dive right in.
We've all been there, haven't we? You're out hiking, maybe camping, or stuck in a massive crowd, and you pull out your phone, and it's just a brick. Nothing. That feeling of being totally cut off is exactly why off-grid communication is so incredibly important. And that's where personal radio services come into the picture. Think of them as your own private line to other people, especially when those cell towers decide to take a day off. It's a whole world of communication that you actually control.
So what are they, really? Well, the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, they set up these services specifically for direct person-to-person communication over shorter distances. And to make sure it's not total chaos, they wrote a rule book.
Okay, so before we get deep into GMRS, we need to talk about the ground rules. These are the big ones that apply to all personal radio services, not just the one we're focusing on today. It's kind of the foundation for using the airwaves the right way.
The easiest way to think about the FCC's job here is to compare them to the DMV. The DMV doesn't build the highways, right? But they set the speed limits, they give out licenses, and they make sure everyone drives safely so we don't crash into each other. Same idea, but for radio waves.
Let's start with the big don'ts that apply to any personal radio you pick up. These rules are pretty much common sense. You can't use your radio for anything illegal. You can't mess with other people's conversations on purpose. And a huge one, never ever transmit a fake SOS. The airwaves are a shared space, not your personal playground. Now this next rule is a big one. The FCC is crystal clear. You cannot mess with your radio to make it more powerful than it's legally allowed to be or to transmit on frequencies you're not supposed to be on. The second you do that, the radio certification is gone and it's totally illegal to use.
This right here is the whole philosophy behind personal radio. None of us owns a channel. We're all sharing. It's kind of like an old-school party line on a telephone. You've got to listen before you talk, keep your chats reasonably short, and just be a good neighbor.
Okay, now that we've got the general stuff out of the way, let's zoom in on our main event, the General Mobile Radio Service. This is where things get a lot more powerful, a lot more flexible, and yeah, a little more official. If you look at the FCC's own definition, GMRS is all about helping people and their families stay connected. Whether you're trying to coordinate a big family camping trip, manage volunteers at an event, or even help out in an emergency, GMRS was built for exactly that. All right, let's talk about the single biggest thing that separates GMRS from other radio services. To unlock its full power and all its features, you're going to need a license from the FCC. But hey, don't let the word license scare you off. It is incredibly easy to get. There's no test to study for. As long as you're over 18, you just hop on the FCC's website, fill out a form, and pay a fee. That's literally it. And here's the best part. That one fee covers you for a full decade. 10 years. That makes it one of the absolute best deals in communication, period. 10 years of powerful, reliable access to the airwaves. This is a question that comes up constantly, and the answer is honestly one of the coolest things about getting a GMRS license. It's not just for you. The FCC is surprisingly generous with this. Your one license covers your immediate family. We're talking your parents, your grandparents, your kids, your siblings, even your in-laws. It's basically a family plan for your walkie-talkies. Okay, so you've got your license and you know who's covered. Now let's get to the fun part. What can GMRS actually do? We're talking channels, power, and some serious range. Let's break this chart down. You can see you've got these main channels where you can blast out a signal at up to 50 watts. That's for serious distance. Then you have these in-between channels at lower power. But the really key thing here are the channels set aside just for repeaters, which can boost your range from a few miles to dozens of miles. I mean, this chart really says it all, doesn't it? Look at that jump. From a tiny half watt on some handheld channels, all the way up to a massive 50 watts on the main ones. That's 100 times power increase. That is the difference between talking across a parking lot and talking across an entire valley. Okay, let's wrap this up by getting practical. You're out there, radio in hand, ready to go. What are the actual day-to-day rules of the road for using GMRS? So what can you talk about? Pretty much anything related to your personal or business life. But even more importantly, you can use it to help other people, giving directions, warning about road hazards, and of course, emergency traffic always gets top priority. GMRS is an amazing safety tool.
Now, on the flip side, there are a few things you definitely can't do. You can't broadcast music or try to be a DJ. You can't use secret codes to hide what you're saying, though simple stuff like 10-4 is totally fine. And you can't hook your radio up to a phone line. The whole point is direct radio-to-radio communication.
And finally, you have to identify yourself. This is a big one. You'll get a call sign from the FCC, and the rule is super simple. Just say your call sign at the end of a conversation, or about every 15 minutes if you're talking for a long time.
You know, when you boil it all down, the license, the power limits, the call signs, every single rule is there for one simple reason: to make sure that GMRS frequencies stay clear, reliable, and useful for every single person who depends on them. By getting this stuff down, you're not just a user, you become a responsible operator, a good steward of the airwaves. So the only real question left is, now that you know the rules of the road, where are you going to go? What new places will you connect from?